Hey there, listeners of the Talking Shite Podcast. This is just a quick announcement before this episode starts. We did have a few audio issues during this, so some of the cuts do seem a bit awkward. That's the reason why. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode. Hey guys, welcome back to the Talking Shite Podcast, the podcast where the guest chooses the topic. Each week we invite someone on to talk about something they're interested in, and maybe doing that will pique your interest too. Our guest this week is none other than Terry Cook. Hello Terry, how are you doing today?
I am all the better for seeing your wonderful Sea Shepherd shirt, Reece. How
Excellent.
are you?
I am good. I've actually also, you know what? Just on my desk, I just had my Sea Shepherd hat. Where's it gone?
You are filling me with jealousy right now.
Yeah, it was, they played, the band Ferocious Dog?
No, but I like the sound of it.
Ferocious Dog done a song for Sea Shepherd. And Sea Shepherd now show up at all their shows and sell their stuff. And I had some money to burn and went, oh, that's a nice t-shirt. I'll buy that. That's a nice hood. Yeah, just give me it all.
Well, I'm very proud of myself because as soon as I started saying Sea Shepherd shirt, I thought that's not coming out right. Those three words are happening.
Sea Shepherd shirt, Sea Shepherd shirt, Sea Shepherd shirt. It's like trying to say Worcestershire sauce.
Yeah, no, not happening.
Cool. So we are here today to talk, fun enough, about podcasts. You being yourself a bit of a veteran of podcasts, you have the 5 Minute Theory podcast, the Instructor podcast, Driving Test Tales, Decapod with Emma Morgan, who also has the Crazy X Club, which I've actually been on. TCU does CFG, that's exclusive for Coaching for Geeks. And of course, you do Terry Tuesdays for them as well. So to talk about podcasts, I think we've got someone that I think you know your shit.
Well, it's interesting you say that because you use the word veteran. I genuinely wouldn't describe myself as that because I did my first podcast in February or March last year. So it's sort of just about a year I've been doing it, but I've done a lot in that time. And the thing that I've always loved podcasts, I've always loved audio, not just podcasts, but so audiobooks and anything like that. I find them, I much prefer that to visual stuff a lot of time. And going right back to, I can remember sort of when I was 18, 19, it's nearly 20 years ago when I first started listening. My first ever audio thing was actually Bill Clinton's audio book, which I seem to remember getting on an iPod somehow, however that worked back in the day.
Please tell me he read that.
I think he did. I think he did, but I can't really remember, I'm going to be honest.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. And ever since then, I've just loved the whole audio thing and always wanted to do it, never had the courage, and then decided to do it last year. Yeah.
Yeah, and through there, you've managed to gain quite a knowledge. Like I mentioned earlier, you do the Terry Tuesdays for the Coaching for Geeks group, where you basically help people grow their podcasts. You give them tips on how to go out and get a bigger audience, how to market themselves. So you've learned quite a lot. Was that just through trial and error, or was that through kind of talking to other people? Like how'd you get all this big brain juice?
A bit of everything, because a lot of it's trial and error. Because I've tried a lot and failed at a lot, and I think it's a lot of it is about being objective. I'll take a step back for a second. I've listened to a lot of podcasts about podcasts, and I think I've learned to separate the shite from the quality, the ones who just try to fob people off and give them the quick fix, and the ones that are actually there to try and help. And I've spoke to people about it. I've watched how people do it, and then I've tried it myself and trial and error. And I think that it's actually a lot more simple than people give it credit for.
Yeah,
it's the audience in that. For example, if I'm going to pick a random celebrity, or Tom Cruise was to release a podcast tomorrow, he's already got an audience of millions. So he would already have a podcast audience of millions. But when I released my podcast, my audience was my mum. So I've had to build the audience up from scratch. And I think too many people see these podcasts, see the 100,000 downloads or 10 million subscribers and assume they're going to get that immediately. And I think if you take a step back and look at that, it's actually fairly simple. Hard work, but fairly simple.
Yeah. Just having a quick look at some of your podcasts you've got up here as well. 5-minute theory. Do you find I've noticed through like the run times, your latest one only 5 minutes long. I think the longest one I found here was 23 minutes, and that was about the highway code changes, which I might actually talk to you about because I am also very confused about what's going on there. So have you found that the smaller, kind of like the 5 minutes, that works better for to get out there easier? If you get what I'm saying, I'm getting confused with my own words now. But do you find that's kind of helped because it's so short, or do you think people being able to sit down for longer?
It's all who your target is. That's all it is. So with the 5-minute theory, there's, like you said, there's a few episodes on there that are longer because I just can't cover them in 5 minutes. So
yeah,
I just do like the occasional bonus episode, and the highway code changes are one. But that is aimed at 17-year-old kids, essentially. I mean, I have older people listening as well, but that's who it's aimed at.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, the highway code isn't the most exciting thing in the world.
Oh, it's not.
No one's going to sit down and listen to a 2-hour podcast about the highway code. They're just not. So therefore, right, I'll do 5 minutes of bite-sized chunks of fairy goodness. So it's because of the content and who it's aimed at, whereas some of the other shows I do, you mentioned Driving Test Tales, they're usually 20 to 30 minutes long because they're interesting little stories about the driving test. But again, with that, I don't think people want to listen to these epic, massive monologues that I'm capable of. But with something like Decapod or the Instructor, we're getting really deep into one specific subject.
Yeah.
So it's all about, for me, it's all about the target audience. And with that 5-minute theory, that's probably the easiest one to sell because the target audience is keen to listen and it's easier for them to listen. So that's probably the easiest one to sell, but it's all about who you're recording for.
Yeah, definitely. And, like I'm saying, you've got quite a few podcasts, but going from your podcasts, we were talking earlier about how you kind of got into listening to audio podcasts yourself. So what are you listening to at the moment?
Good question. I've got a few I've got like a handful that are my stalwarts that are always there for me, and then I've got like a sprinkling of ones that I dip in and out of.
Yeah.
So my favorite podcasts, The Evolution of Horror, which is a chap called Mike Muntz who runs through different types of horror. So I think the latest one he did was sort of alien horror or sci-fi horror, and that's just finished. So you kind of went from the early days all the way through.
Yeah.
Love that. Speaking of horror, also love. Weirdly, I think this one's only got 2 seasons, but it's called Zobo with a Shotgun. And she basically goes into all the extreme horror. But it's one that I find myself re-listening to. I'm desperate for her to bring some more episodes out, but I keep going back and re-listening to it. I've got a couple of podcast ones that I listen to, which is the Podcast Accelerator, Podcast Pontifications, and then Podcast...
We're full of tongue twisters today.
There you go. The Empire podcast and the Empire Spoiler Specials, which is a paid version. I listen to those a lot. And I suppose the other one that's a real stalwart is some wrestling ones I listen to. A chap called Conrad Thompson, who runs shows like with Eric Bischoff and Jeff Jarrett and Jim Ross and all.
Was that the Inside the Ropes podcast?
No,
that's Kevin or Kenny, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I don't know his name, to be honest with you, but I know which one you mean. I like the Conrad Thompson one because like I say, it's got the older guys. It's back to when I used to be properly into wrestling. It's recapping all that. So that's why I enjoyed it. So they're kind of the stalwarts. There's a few that I dip in and out of. So there's John Burko, who used to be the Speaker of the House. He's brought one out, which is brilliant. He just says what he wants and slanders all the prime ministers, which is fantastic.
Well, he can now. He's probably getting out all that, like, how long was he in? 10 years? Just getting out all that rage.
Yep. And then another couple of ones I'll mention that I've just started watching, actually. A Supernatural rewatch show with a couple of the characters that used to be on that are doing that, which is brilliant. And I've just found a Battlestar Galactica rewatch podcast, which I'm working my way through as well.
I think it's going to be very hard for us not to tangent on to just whole geek nature now, because half the stuff you mentioned there, I'm like, wow. Because, funnily enough, I've actually just started watching Supernatural. I'm very late to the party, but I've just started watching it. My girlfriend was obsessed with it, and she was like, "You're watching this whether you like it or not." So for Christmas, I got her the full 15 seasons on Blu-ray, and we've been working our way through that. So listening to that podcast alongside might be really interesting. You talk about wrestling podcasts as well. I'm also a big wrestling fan myself, like the Inside the Ropes podcast, Talk is Jericho podcast, which is one of the biggest podcasts out at the moment, I think.
Yeah.
Also going on to like the more obscure ones, Bruce Dickinson has released a podcast with an Oxford University professor called Psycho Schizo Espresso, where they speak about some really like in-depth stuff, like talked about like decoding the Bible's deepest, darkest secrets, to like is Bruce Dickinson a psychopath, like that kind of stuff. So like there's definitely a lot out there. And even then, like when we were talking about your podcasts, like you specifically talk about driving instructing, as you said that's your full-time day job.
Yeah, that's the day job.
Yeah, like I've heard that. I was like, of course, there's a podcast about that because people will need to learn about that stuff. Driving Test Tales does sound interesting, quite funny. I will go have to have a quick peek at that later. But going on to all that and stuff. That was really annoying. Had my question, and then as I was about to ask it, I'm gonna go away. So you know what? We'll go off. I've been eyeing up those Funko Pops behind you all the time.
Yes.
What do you think of the new HeMan series?
The Revelations, isn't it? Loved it. Absolutely adored it. It got a lot of hate online and all that, but I love where they went with it.
Oh yeah.
I'm reluctant to go too spoilery, just in case anyone's listening that hasn't seen it.
Mm-hmm.
But I genuinely love the direction I took it, and I do it quite early, so I don't mind saying that. But obviously the oh crap, what's her name? Tila kind of takes the lead, and I think it's just brilliant. And I love the fact that it's called Masters of the Universe rather than HeMan. I think it's genuinely, I just loved it. I thought it was something different, and everyone that was moaning about, it's putting women first. Oh, so what? It's something different. It was great. Absolutely adored it. That's what I grew up with was HeMan and the Masters of the Universe. That was my toys when I was a kid. That was my the cartoon. That was my favorite thing. And all the figures and the castles and all sorts. And although weirdly, this is gonna sound stupid, but it's still my favorite thing for the whole series was actually the trailer for the first one.
Oh yeah, the trailer was insane.
It's bonkers. You could not get a better theme music for a trailer than it was. I Need a Hero, wasn't it? And it was just like, wow. If that doesn't get you excited to watch a show, I don't know what would.
I was just excited the fact that because it's weird, even though we're a couple of generations apart. Like I grew up in say the very early 2000s. I was still kind of subject to HeMan because it was on repeat through. I don't want to say it was Cartoon Network. I can't remember where it was on repeat from, but it was definitely like getting shown. So I was exposed to the old HeMan and everything, and it kind of brung me back into it as well. And I'm hoping like maybe it'll bring back the younger audience to maybe go and check out the old stuff as well, see the old Evelyn and stuff, and get really nitty gritty into the backstories of everything. Especially like I'm also now trying to avoid spoilers now. I'm usually a person like, hey, you're listening to this. I'll go, spoilers, skip next 5 minutes, and then...
I don't think we need to worry about the spoilers for the original He-Man. That's long enough ago. But yeah, I mean, it's very cheesy when you go back and watch it. It's very cheesy. And some of the characters, they knew what they were doing when they called him Fisto.
Yeah.
They know what's going on there. And some of the lines that come into it at the end, you can watch that in two ways now, I think.
I've always said they put those lines in specifically for the adults watching because they know they need to entertain them as well. It's like do you remember that bit like don't mess with the Zohan?
No.
It was an Adam Sandler film where he played this, I can't remember. It was like a fake country's like secret agent / movie actor. Basically, he was massively famous and decided to leave his life of fame and go and work in America as a hairdresser. So he does all that stuff, and it's incredibly bonkers. And there's stuff that, kids will laugh at, but there's other jokes that you're like, adults will be like, looking at their child like, don't get that, please. Do not understand what he just said.
I think that's the best way. I just had a flashback years ago. I went to what do you call them? A pantomime, a Christmas
Yeah,
pantomime,
yeah,
and they spent the entire show doing that. There's all the loud jokes for the kids,
yeah.
but every now and again they say something really quietly. Like there was the pantomime donkey,
Mm.
and I think it was Billy Pierce who was like the star of the show. And he's gone over and he's looked in this donkey's mouth and just right quietly went, "There's a man in there," and then just carried on with the show as if nothing's happened. Just those little subtle lines that if you're not paying attention you miss, but if you catch them they're brilliant.
Yeah. Have you seen any of the adult pantomimes, the one specifically for adults?
The only one I've ever seen, I didn't see it live, I saw it on video, was a Jim Davidson one. So try not speak about him so much, but no.
Do you know? I feel like going at the past. There was I don't know if you've seen it down in kind of the north of England where you're at, but there was a show up here called Scot Squad.
No.
And it was basically like a Scottish police force. And there was one episode where he goes to a school because they think they found a bomb and it's not, it's a time capsule. So he looks at it and goes, "Oh, like kids, this is called a time capsule. It shows you everything from the past. Let's go. So let's have a look. So inside, well," he pulls out a gollywog and he goes, so no, that could just stay where that is. And this kid, this was called an LP back in the day. It was like a CD. Yeah. So Gary Glitter can just stay right back in there. And then pulls out like a Jim will fix it medal and everything. And he's like, "Nope, you know what? Let's just close this sofa."
This is a problem I'm familiar with because we do the podcast called Decapod Morgan, and at the minute we're reviewing the 90s. We're looking at the decade of the 90s.
Yeah.
There's a lot of troublesome people in the 90s.
It's like, did anyone not do anything wrong?
Yeah. But I'm quite naive as a person. I hold my hands up to that. I can be quite naive, and we'll be reviewing a film, and then Emma will just say, "This person's troublesome." I'm like, "Oh no, don't say that."
Yeah, come on, for God's sake.
Yeah, there's some that I didn't know about, which is disappointing. But fucking bastards ruining our 90s.
Yeah, how dare they ruin our childhood like that?
Yeah, but yeah, that's probably actually just coming on to that. That's probably the hardest thing about doing Decapod is we're seeing all these evil, sinister scum that did all this stuff, and it's like it was your childhood memories, and now I don't know how I feel about it. I don't want to lose those memories because they were happy times, but also very weird.
Oh yeah, well, it was like I talked to my own parents about this obviously because they were doing that, and my uncle told me once about how he literally begged like his parents to like let him try and send a letter to Jim will fix it. And you're like, wow, maybe they were onto something.
Maybe the one that got me the most, I watched we're doing a Robin Williams special, and I went and watched Jack, the film Jack, which I've never seen before.
I was going to say, please do not tell me Robin Williams done something.
No, no. Robin Williams, amazing person. He did nothing wrong ever, and I will not hear it said otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
However, in that film, Robin Williams plays the character Jack, who just ages at like a ridiculous pace. So when he's got the body of a 40-year-old, he's 10 essentially. But like the first 5 minutes, Bill Cosby pops up. And Robin Williams, Jack, the character, falls over, and Bill Cosby like is rubbing his knee and kissing it better. I'm just like, oh no! I realised at that point that when I have seen the film before, if there's someone problematic in it, I can deal with it because I've already seen it.
Yeah.
When I haven't seen the film and the problematic person pops up, no, that's when I throw eggs at the telly.
Even like Home Alone 2, the fact that Trump shows up.
I can kind of weirdly, I could stomach Trump on stuff because I know he's evil. I get that, but I just look at him and think, dick, and I'm okay with that in a way. I just think he's just a dick. That's kind of how I view it. But when someone like Bill Cosby pops up, who's actually, I think actually charged and a rapist, that's like, oh
yeah, I think he definitely was charged. Out of that, he was put under like house arrest something because he's just old and frail. And there's like, yeah, it's not nice to think about, but definitely even like with people like my mum was really upset with him when Rolf Harris, all that came out. She was just like, "There's nothing sacred anymore."
he was one that I mean, looking back when you watch some of the stuff he did, it's probably not surprising, but he did surprise me. I didn't see
Yeah.
that one coming. Yeah, he was a bit of a, and it's one that I forget that was caught. So when you said it, then it was like, oh yeah, he was. Oh no, who else have I forgotten about?
I feel kind of sorry for the other Rolf Harris as well. The guy who done Country File and Spring Watch and stuff.
I'd completely forgotten until you said that.
Because
now.
I remember there was a big confusion because I was like, what? But he likes gardening. No, the other Rolf Harris. And I feel like he's kind of disappeared as well. So he'll pop up as Rolf Danger, changed his name, but it's mental. But hopefully going forward, other kids won't have issues with their childhood now.
Yes, hopefully so. I think people. Yeah, sorry, I'm going to do a really bad joke. I'm not going to. Yes, hopefully the kids of this generation don't have to put up with the, travesties that we did.
Yes, absolutely. We've made the world a better place. Hopefully,
we took one for the team.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. Cool. So again, you talk a lot about the 90s and stuff. So I I get really interested in this because obviously I was born in 98, so I was kind of in what my uncle has described as the turning point, we were the awkward generation where we were too young to be 90s kids but too old to be Gen Z, and we kind of got a bit of both. So of course I got the tail end of Dragon Ball, but I also got stuff like Rory the racing car, so all that. But were you full on grown up in the 90s and stuff?
Yeah, I was born in 82, so I like teens, early 90s or mid 90s. So yeah, the 90s was my decade of growing up, and it was full of both misery and joy in equal parts.
Yeah, definitely. Comparing it to what you've got now, do you think? Do you know when you're trying to go somewhere? So I've just been handed a bowl of chips, and I'm like, oh, for God's sake, just throw it. Thank you, I really appreciate it.
I wish someone would hand me a bowl of chips.
Oh, they're homemade ones as well. Have a look at these homemade chips.
I can't believe you almost complaining about getting handed chips. I'm lucky if I get offered a drink.
Yeah, hold on. Very good.
I mean, my mouth's only watering a little bit.
Are you quite a foodie?
Yes and no. I love food. I went vegan last year. I don't know when it was. No, 2 years ago. And at the minute, I am, at the risk of sounding pretentious, I'm working a little bit too hard and not having quite the time to cook that I would like. So stuff is a bit more mishmash at the minute, but I do love a good meal.
You said went vegan. Was that a personal choice or was that a...
Yeah, and it's an interesting question because I have a way of answering it that tends to offend people. So hopefully there's a few people listening that get offended. I decided that I no longer wanted to contribute to the torture and slaughter of animals. That was ultimately it. And it was literally, there was a Sunday, I woke up and I said to my wife, I'm going vegan tomorrow. And she's like, no, you're not. I'm like, yeah, just decided, going vegan tomorrow. And then I thought, I won't do it tomorrow. I know I won't do it tomorrow. If I say I'll do it tomorrow, I might as well do it today. Screw it, I'm going vegan today. And I open the fridge and there's just all this meat and cheese. And I'm like, crap, not to eat. And then I just went vegan and I've been vegan since.
Nice. Because it's something that I've... Sorry, I'm talking with a fucking chip in my mouth.
You're making me jealous.
These are actually vegan, though. We use the Fry Light, the vegan, the olive oil one. Just potato, garlic, and onion. So yeah.
I mean, I must admit I'm a crap vegan. I forget stuff sometimes in that I'll forget to check if something's vegan. So because it's like you're having chips, because it's a potato, my assumption is it's vegan. I forget what it might have been cooked in. I am bad for that. I'm like, the kid will be eating his pizza and I will forget. And through habit, even still now, 2 years later, I'll forget and I'll pinch a slice and take a bite. And there was... I think a very weird moment at one time where I pinched it and I started eating it, like laughing at him, like, I'm having your pizza. And he went, "You're vegan," and it's like pepperoni pizza, and I just froze.
Your son got the laugh.
Yeah, I've got this in my mouth. What's the etiquette now? Do I spit it out? Do I finish it? If I've spit it out, I've just wasted the animal.
Yeah.
And there was about 30 seconds where I'm just having this mental panic in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the best vegan option is, and I thought I might as well finish it. It's in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I've toyed with the idea of going vegan. I done a veganuary once, and there was some stuff that actually stayed. I switched to like Vitalite butter and stuff, and I do like my coconut milk. These be specific brands though, because otherwise I find that I understand going vegan. They're trying to do it a lot of environment as well. They could maybe store it in a glass bottle or a plastic bottle, because I found if they store it in those cartons, it just starts tasting like the carton. But yeah, there's a lot of like vegan stuff out there. Did you find it quite expensive when you first started?
Again, it's a yes and no answer. It depends what you look for. When you go in for like the alternative meats and stuff like that, and the alternative cheeses, it gets a bit pricey. But when you're getting like beans and your different lentils and all that kind of stuff, it's same as old, really. No, I thought it was all right. But I will purposely go and buy it when it's on special offer rather than waiting until it's full price. You get the burgers now, you get like £2 or £3 for a pack of normal burgers, with a vegan ones are £6. In fact, I'm sorry, mini rant. I went to I think it was Morrison's the other week, and they've got a special offer on mayonnaise, half price, with a vegan one next to it, still full price. I'm like, that genuinely annoyed me.
Yeah, that was kind of the thing I found when I done it in January. It was like just the price of stuff. It's like they really went, okay, they think veganism is like a trend, and let's try and capitalize on it. And then it stuck around, and they're like, cool, we can capitalize it even more. And I've definitely seen online people are not standing for it. They're going at. So is the rest of your family vegan as well? You said your son, yeah. Are they just you?
Just me. They've picked up a few of the choices. So vegan magnums. They like vegan magnums, so we get vegan magnums rather than normal ones. My wife much prefers the vegan mayo, so we never have normal mayo house. Vegan salad cream, those sort of bits.
Yeah.
The stuff they've not noticed, essentially. They've swapped to that. My kid, stepson, is 15, and he's repulsed at the idea that I'm vegan. And he'll be like, I remember him saying to me once, I'm never going vegan. I will never, ever go vegan. I'm like, I'll never eat vegan food, he says. Like, you're literally eating an apple. That you can't get much more vegan than an apple. And they just looked at this apple in disgust. Like somehow he'd found out this apple was something other than what he thought it was. What do you think it was? A cow? But, no.
I thought apples were shit out from humans.
Yeah, I mean, they've been really good. They're like, generally, the wife's pretty good. So, she don't leave stuff flying around, because it is tempting still, more through habit than anything else.
Yeah.
But she tends not to leave stuff flying around. So if she cooks a chicken or anything, she'll bang it in microwave hard away afterwards. So, well, partly for me and partly so dog can't smell it. It's like, so it drives us both nuts. So there you go. I've got the same mental capacity as my dog. But they're pretty good with that. But it is, now and again, it's tricky when she'll get like some glazed sort of chicken thighs, and I can smell that Chinese flavour, and then start drooling, and it's nothing to do with the chicken. It's the
smell. Yeah.
But now I want it, and then I can't have it, and then that's mean, then I get depressed.
That's a fair way to say it.
Yeah, and then I start sulking because I'm like, well, the only thing I can eat is this apple. I've got all this awesome stuff in the fridge, but because I'm feeling sorry for myself, I just look at the apple and the same disgust that the stepson did.
I think, yeah. So I'm going to ask you a bit of I always say these are half-loaded questions, but they're not. So obviously there's a public opinion about veganism that I'm guessing maybe your stepson has kind of bought into. And then you've got companies like PETA, who, make the Mario kills the animal game. Do you think that obviously people need to see what happens with the whole animal process and stuff, but do you think it's people's ignorance, or do you think it's more the way it's being pushed out there that is maybe not hurting veganism, but more why veganism kind of has like a bad image?
100% both. I did a post on, I don't know if it's Twitter or Facebook, but a couple of years ago, and essentially in the same post, I got criticised by non-vegans for promoting being vegan, and I got criticised by a vegan for living with someone who was a meat eater. So you get it from both sides. I think that there are definitely militant vegans who the way they are doesn't help. And that's not me being critical of them. You know, if you want to be militant and saying it's the right thing, you go for it. But there are people that will push away more. So like you mentioned, Peter, I would have never gone vegan because of Peter. I would just scroll past. I wouldn't even look at it. But I think that ties in with the other thing you said, which is ignorance. And I'll talk about myself here, so I'm not, incriminating anyone else. But I was ignorant. Like I say, I would see the picture of things being slaughtered and tortured, and I don't like that. Scroll past, not happening. I'm going to go eat my chicken legs. And I genuinely think it's the combination of the two. When you get someone that is a vegan but doesn't try to tell you to go vegan, but just offers you alternatives, like you mentioned Veganuary, I think that's a great way of doing it.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, a challenge for a month, do this, or the other one was meat-free Mondays and stuff like that. That's a great way of doing it. And you suddenly realise, oh, actually, it's not that bad. I can do all this stuff. But then, like I say, you get the ignorance, and I will hold my hands up. For 38 years, I was completely ignorant of it. I turned a blind eye because it was more convenient to ignore the fact that we're torturing and slaughtering stuff and just eat the burger.
Yeah. So, like, when you see like big brands like McDonald's and Burger King and KFC starting to offer more vegan options, are you more inclined to go there, or are you still like your main base is meat products? I'm kind of going to stay away.
100% I'll go there. I think I've got a different view to a lot of vegans on this, and I've taken some flack for it. But I think that I genuinely think that vegans that go to McDonald's or Greg's or places like that, I don't want to use the term better vegans, because you're either vegan or you're not. And I've said before, I can be crap at sometimes, but I think that they're almost doing a better job of converting people or getting more choices, because if the plan that came out,
it's brilliant.
If no one goes and buys it, then it's not going to stay out.
Yeah.
But if the demand for it is big, they'll go, oh, right, well, maybe we can make more stuff.
Yeah.
So yes, people will still go to McDonald's, but they're then going to eat less meat stuff. I mean, I know meat eaters that now and again will, not all the time, but they'll get a McPlant rather than a Big Mac. Well, that's one less animal that's been slaughtered.
That's my girlfriend does. She's generally just completely switched to the McPlant. We tried it. It was just like we went there and we just bought one because we were like curious, and she was like, "This is amazing." Like even the like Weatherspoons burgers and stuff are also their vegan stuff's been really good. And I think like me personally, for like I don't know, you probably have the same experience. But back a few years ago, vegan alternatives were shit. They were like, oh, you're vegan, okay, have this jackfruit and beetroot patty that doesn't taste anything like a burger. There you go, eat your rabbit food. But now they've like with like the Beyond Meat and stuff, I found they taste like so much. Have you tried the other ones like the KFC and the Burger King?
I've had the KFC one, which I like. I've not had the Burger King yet, but I think the thing for me when I first went vegan, and I'd imagine this is a mistake a lot of people make, is that they'll eat a burger, for example, or some, pretend chicken nuggets or whatever they call them, expecting them to taste the same, expecting it to be the same thing. And then when it's not, there's a disconnect in the brain.
Yeah.
And my first thought is, oh, well, that's crap. And then but when you start approaching like, okay, don't expect it to taste like a normal burger. Let's see what it's like. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, this is quite nice. And the other thing I realized about burgers, because I used to be a massive burger freak. That was my thing. You go to a restaurant, I'd get a burger, regardless of where we were. It was never the burger patty. It was everything else on the burger. it's like, you know, the lettuce, bacon, it's not the best example, but bacon, the cheese, the sauces, all that kind of stuff. Or it's like that's what made the burger. So you put a different patty in that's maybe equally, potentially almost as nice. Or my favorite one I have now, I quite often have hash brown burgers. I'll bang some hash browns in it, get some vegan cheese in it, load of salad stuff on top, and it's awesome. I think if you take away that preconceived idea of it's going to taste like X, Y, and Z, and just see what it tastes like, and that for me worked anyway.
Yeah, definitely. I guess as well, like there's a lot more kind of vegan cookbooks out there as well that's kind of bringing veganism into the homes. In like even with over lockdown and everything, kind of these, like, you know, when they started making all those like recipes that started going viral and stuff. One that went viral that I found was it was like chicken nuggets or chicken strips, but it was bread. And I never made it myself, but I had a friend who said that it was honestly like, and I've tried. I'm one of those people that, like, I will go for the vegan option if it's available. I'm not going to hold myself. If I want chicken thighs, I'm going to go chicken thighs. But if there's a vegan option, I'll go for it. And that was one that was definitely interesting. The other one was it the cauliflower wings?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you realize after a while it is just the spices you're actually there for. It's not for the meat itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 100% right. We mentioned before about the smell of the chicken, and that's what it is. You know, if you're cooking a roast chicken, it smells nice. You boiling a chicken, it doesn't. There's no appeal to that. It's when you can sense it like that, and yeah, like you say, the taste is the chicken itself. Any chicken doesn't particularly taste of anything particular, but you know, you blather some sauce on it or whatever, and it does.
Yeah.
I'd completely agree with that.
You know, now you say that, because I've recently just started to like lose weight again, so going through all the slimming cookbooks, finding low calorie options and stuff, and we made orange chicken, and the recipe calls it, just throw some salt and pepper on your chicken and throw it in the oven for like 15 minutes, and then afterwards you add it to the sauce. And I remember pulling the chicken out of the oven, and I'm like, that is the whitest chicken that's ever come out of this house. And then now you say it did kind of half click to me of, I'm eating the flavor here. I'm not eating the chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and some vegan alternatives there can be really good. One thing I did find with doing Veganuary was it was really interesting to see what foods were vegan that we didn't know were vegan.
Yeah.
Like Oreos were a big shock when I found out they were vegan.
I'm going to interrupt you for a second because you know what you said about chips before? My wife just brought me some.
Oh, what a trip. No, that was set up. You text her.
No, that was the interruption.
There we go. I have a few left.
So that's never happened before.
And now I think she's secretly listening in.
She's heard our conversation. You are now my hero, Reece. You have now got something that's never happened before. You've got my wife just fetching me food. Oh, can we have a podcast recording every week, please?
Absolutely. The Talking Shite podcast where the guest is better off for it.
Yeah. It's not what I came for, but it's what I'm staying for.
God, trying to avoid all the stereotypical vegan questions that you've probably been asked 100,000 times.
I honestly don't mind them because I think that I'm someone that can be quite blunt and also tactile. So you throw what you want at my way, I'll happily answer.
It's more like when you start, when you ask these questions, you think to yourself, like, what, like in other context, if someone asked me that, would it not be a bit like I'm guess you've been asked, like, oh, what do you miss the most? All that stuff. Like, if someone had asked that about me, but I'd quit, like smoking, for example, like, oh, what do you miss the most? Well, you know what? I really miss the potential life-threatening illnesses. It's that kind of stuff.
It's the thing I miss. It's not a specific thing. It's a little bit of the choice side of it, because as many vegan choices there are, you pick up you're ordering a takeaway. I ain't got as much choice. I think it's the fact that I'm very limited. And yeah, there are some places that got brilliant options. There are. My local Chinese does absolutely awesome vegan mushroom curry with mushroom fried rice and salt and pepper chips. All vegan, absolutely love it. But that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the thing I miss, just the choice. But again, I'd never really complain about that because I accept that. I'm making the choice to go vegan, so I accept I'm going to have less choice, but that is the thing I miss the most.
Yeah. Just because I was just thinking about like when I done Veganian and stuff. Did you see the documentary Game Changers?
I think so. Is that the one? Oh, is that the one where they test a load of athletes? They had the biggest erection.
I don't remember that part of the documentary.
Okay. Probably not then, because you would have remembered that. I've seen a lot. I can't remember which is which.
It was one about veganism, but it was like it was promoting veganism from a much more kind of scientific, athletic. Because there was some stuff that they said in that documentary that flipped a switch in my head. Like it was like everyone goes like, oh, where'd you get your protein from? And they went, well, think about it. Cows eat grass. Cows eat grass. Cows drink water. Cows might occasionally eat grain, right? They get all their protein from that. So there's protein there.
Yeah.
And what veganism doing is effectively cutting out the middleman. And I was like, shit, they ain't wrong.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's interesting because you spoke before about you losing weight, and it's something I'm back on now. And I lost the weight a while ago and put it back on. Anyway,
Lockdown was a bitch to all of us.
Yes. The reason I'm mentioning that is because I've started using my fitness pal again.
Same.
And I'm looking at protein intake. I'm not specifically tracking up my protein at the minute. I'm just tracking it. I thought, I wonder what I was having when I was a meat eater. And I scrolled back a couple of years, and I saw that was a day. So for me, it's like 200 grams of protein. I thought, wow, yeah, it must be harder as a vegan to get protein. Then I look, and I'd eaten 12 sausages. And it's like, yeah, that's not a healthy diet. 12 sausages isn't a healthy diet. That's not like having a good diet because I've got protein. I'm going to die eating 12 sausages a day. And then I look at what I'm eating now, and I'm not going to lie, I'm not 100% sure where my protein comes from, but I get a good chunk of protein every day.
Yeah, and especially you got like, the vegan shakes and stuff as well, like soy protein and stuff. And granted, some of them taste like shit, but there's some of there that taste really, really good. And people going like, the vegan chocolate's coming out as well as now that's making it like even some of the vegan ice cream you get is I want to say Halo Top. They've got a vegan one, or even Ben and Jerry's actually. They have some incredible vegan ice cream, and I'm guessing like from a vegan yourself, you must feel quite like appreciative when these brands do try and create more variety for vegans, or is it more like you think otherwise?
No, not really, because they could do so much more and do it easier.
Yeah,
I think I think it's a bit like McDonald's. Maybe they're testing the water. They'll throw the thing out there, see how it sells, and see what works. But the reason there's more and more vegan products on the shelves isn't because of vegans; it's because of meat eaters that are trying it. That's what's getting the more products on the shelves. But so no, I don't particularly feel appreciated. But I do want to touch on what you were saying about the variety of stuff that's out there, because
I've
genuinely got the best. I say students. I'm referring to my learner drivers. I've got the best students in the world. They bring me vegan treats. They'll go out of the way, whether it's a pass a test or whether it's just because they think I'm awesome, which most people do, whatever. But they'll bring me vegan treats, like whether it's sweets or chocolate. Oh, we're in the supermarket and I found this, so I thought of you. And I'm like, this is awesome. Look at people bringing me all this random vegan stuff, which is great. Stuff that I wouldn't normally buy, but they're just seeing it while they're in supermarket. Because I tend to avoid a lot of shelves just to take away the risk of me going, oh, I really wish I could have that. But they'll go down and see this random product and then come and get it for me. It's brilliant.
Yeah. What's your favorite? I'm only asking this because I am not taking notes on vegan alternatives.
It's a good question because I don't actually know where they got it from, and because I haven't finished them yet, I need to message them. But one of my students bought me this. It's like a tube of vegan sweets, and they're like fruit pastels, but like a big fruit pastel in them, and they are the nicest sweet I've ever had. I don't know where they're from yet because it's a big old tube and I've not finished them. So
Mhm.
I will let you know as soon as I've messaged the students to find out because they were superb.
That sounds great. Because there's some vegan snacks out there. Like I found this. Oh god, it was one of these little markets. It was down near where I live, and it was just someone selling vegan beef jerky, and it was made. I actually want to say it was made from beetroot, but I don't think it was because I don't like beetroot. And this stuff was like, it was chewy. It was
Yeah.
and I was like, this is unreal. And even then, we're talking about, like you said, it's because meat eaters are going and try vegan stuff. I've noticed that there's some brands are changing their ingredients so that their food is now vegan.
Yeah.
And some of it I question. I found out that I believe I want to say it's not the beef and tomato pot noodle, but there's a pot noodle out there that does contain. It says it's a meat flavored product.
Yeah.
But it's vegan.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, how? That's insane.
Yeah, it does amuse me. With stuff like that, I think I love Tesco's. They've got like the vegan specific sections really clearly marked off. I can whiz over there. They do a vegan pastrami, which is absolutely amazing. I mean, look, if you give me normal pastrami and vegan, I could probably tell the difference.
Yeah.
But having the vegan one by itself, you can't. It's that sort of thing there. They've got these mini, I'm going to do inverted commas on a podcast, Scotch eggs, which are awesome. So they also used, they did the best burgers, actually. They had jalapeno burgers, but vegan jalapeno burgers. They were really good. So Tesco's have got some awesome stuff like that. But the one that annoyed me the most recently is because when I went vegan, I found out that my favorite flavor of Pringles was vegan, which is paprika. And I was over the moon. There was paprika and Tex-Mex or whatever the whatever the other one is. There were 3 flavors. They're now changing it so that paprika isn't vegan anymore.
Why?
Exactly. They said it was easier for them to make by to reduce cross contamination or something. So
there's other ways to reduce cross contamination.
Yeah. But I was genuinely gutted by that.
And paprika is just like, I don't, you know what? Now I don't actually know what paprika is at its very core. I think it's ground up pepper.
Yeah, I think it's some sort of pepper. But it always intrigues me. It's like the flavors and the crisps and stuff. So I think it's Tesco's onion rings that are vegan, but Morrison's aren't. I'm like, well, what's the difference?
Maybe like animal fat or something.
Yeah, and like Doritos, I get these mixed up. I have to check every time, but it's the flaming hot ones which are vegan, which are my favorite. So I'm well away. And then I get them when I get the salsa dip. So there's all sorts of stuff there. It's just being cautious what you get. What I will say is milk powder is the scourge of my life.
I will never touch milk powder.
Yeah, it really annoys me. The number of things I've found that are labelled as vegan, then you look at the ingredients and it says milk powder. Like, it's not vegan. It's got milk in it. No, not happening.
I guess I'd have to say specifically coconut milk or almond milk powder. And if you could even make powder, well, you probably could.
Yeah, because they put it down as an allergen, as milk. They put it, in the bold thing. So, yeah.
What's your alternative milk? What's the one you go for?
Oh, it genuinely depends what I'm doing. My kind of generic one is almond milk. I really like that. I can have that in my tea. I like drinking it by itself. I can put that even like with mashed potato. Almond milk goes okay in that. The best one for drinking with tea I've found for me, and I think I'm the only person in the world that says this, but was the recent one that came out, which was pea protein milk.
I'm glad you cleared that up. I was like, excuse me?
Yes, yeah. Not that pea milk. Not the magic.
That's not vegan.
Well, animal, human, whatever. But yeah, so it makes your tea look absolutely horrible, but tastes really nice.
Oh, I'm a huge advocate for I'm in a mindset of the more a food literally looks like poo, the better it's going to taste. Like, I'm from Scotland. One of our national dishes, stovies. Go look at stovies. Go and tell me you look at that and go, oh, that looks no, it looks like literal dung. But it's chef's kiss.
I will bear that in mind.
Yeah.
The more it looks like poo, the better it's going to taste. I've not tried that philosophy, but I'll give it a go.
Yeah, but like, the way I think about it is like the food that doesn't care about presentation, doesn't care what it looks like, is the best because you can tell the cook has just cared about the flavor.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know, sometimes it's nice to have a cool presentation with the food, but if your food tastes shit, I don't care if it's in the shape of a fucking duck. Like, you know, but like, there's foods like, look at like soups and stuff. It's just one of my, like, me and my missus' favourite food soups, potato and leek soup. Like, here, have a bowl of slightly creamy looking mush.
Yeah.
But it's incredible. I'm going to have to find a vegan alternative for that because we use a lot of cream in that. But there's probably a good vegan alternative for cream that I've not found yet. So, actually, no, I lie. I tried cashew milk, you know, making your own cashew cream. That did work.
I've not tried that, so I'll add that to the list.
It is a process, but it's more of a process like, you know, when you're learning how to do something, and the first few times it does take, but after a while you're like, leave that, do it. I know that's going to take care of itself.
Yeah.
But the cashew cream does work. It's a bit thinner, but it does work. See, I'm even learning stuff about veganism.
Oh, me too.
Yeah. I love how we started off talking, like, this is why I say this every episode. This is why I love this podcast is, you know, we started talking about cars and it's like, yep, but veganism's a cool thing we could talk about. And I think, you know, even talking about this stuff on a platform is slightly important because, like you said, you know, you done it because of you didn't want animals to suffer anymore. And that's a completely noble cause and quite a righteous one. And I'll even admit, when I look through on the internet and I see people going like, oh, you know, who cares? Fuck the animals and stuff. I'm like, why? Like, you fine then. You go to the farm. You go and, you know, slaughter it and stuff. And I guess as a meat eater, I know where my food's coming from. I'm not ignorant to that. And end of the day, I know this is the choice I'm making. I don't know how I was going to finish this bit, but there's a lesson in there somewhere.
I mean, I said before, I was ignorant to it massively. Mm-hmm. I'm not afraid to admit that. And like you said, I knew where it was coming from, but I don't want to think about that. That's unpleasant. Mm-hmm. I think that it was when I finally accepted where it's coming from. I mean, I joked for years about going vegan. I used to joke and say I was vegan between meals. And,
yeah.
I think I told this story somewhere before, but I'll say it again. I went to my sister's barbecue and I'd been joking for a while about being vegan, and it was jest because I think I actually wanted to go vegan, just didn't have the courage to do it. Mm. And I joked about it. My sister got some vegan patties for me for a barbecue, and there was someone there that said, "Oh, have you found a little piggy that you like?" And I was like, "Yeah, all of them. I like all of the pigs. I don't want to eat any of them." And I think that was really one of the things that actually pushed me towards going vegan. So
yeah, it's those dickheads that are like, oh, oink oink, and you're like, fuck off.
Exactly. So yeah, I would never ever criticize anyone for eating meat or dairy or anything like that because it's the way we've been raised. Yeah. It's been ingrained in us. I did it for 38 years. I could never be critical of anyone else. And if it takes someone, I think if you live forever, at some point you would end up going vegan. That's my theory. But most people die before they go vegan. That's a very weird way to look at it. But yes, that's how I think of it. So I would never criticize anyone for that. I think where the criticism comes from me is the people that criticize me for being vegan.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not making you eat stuff, and also you eat vegan stuff anyway. My stepson with the apple is the prime example. You know, you eat this stuff anyway. Don't criticize me for only eating this stuff. That's where it gets my back up.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like and we were talking earlier about like how I thought maybe veganism has kind of a bad image in the press. It's poorly marketed, and I say that from a completely capitalist standpoint because that's one of the main issues I think with meat production is the fact it's purely capitalist. And
Yep.
and now we start talking about communism. But even then, in that point, it's a true point of people right now. Well, maybe not as much now, but 5 years ago, people thought that vegans were a bunch of hippies who thought they were better than everyone, when in case they were just a bit ahead of the time. And yeah, and going through like there's loads of athletes these days that are going vegan. We're talking about wrestling. You know, Bryan Danielson is a very outspoken vegan wrestler. I'm pretty sure Arnold Schwarzenegger, I don't know if he's fully vegan, but he's definitely came out and said, no, I choose vegan alternatives when available.
Yeah, I think he even said that if he'd go back, he'd go vegan for his weight training days. I think he even said that. And like you were saying before, the protein you can get from places. The thing I was saying about the athletes and the erections, I think it might have been the game changers. I might be wrong, but
I'm gonna Google this right now.
Yeah,
athletes vegan erections. Eating vegan food can boost erections by nearly 500%. But documented game changers. Okay, yeah.
They did the experiment. I could say live. They didn't do it live on Game Changers, but they basically, I can't remember. I think there was 3 of them. One of them was vegan, 2 of them weren't, or something like that. I can't remember. But they gave, before they went to bed, they gave the vegan one a wrap that was vegan. They gave the other 2 wraps that were meat, and then they wrapped stuff around the cock, the junk, essentially. They went to sleep and they measured their overnight erections. Then the next day they did it again, but they gave everyone vegan stuff. And essentially the vegans one stayed the same and the athletes one like got bigger and it stayed hard for longer. And it's like,
there you go.
Yeah, I'm gonna go vegan
That's
now.
that is how we should market veganism to men. Men, do you want that? Like, do you know if you go on the dodgy websites and you know, like, take these pills? No, it's just like, go vegan.
Well, it says about it on the show, and and I've been asked before.
You've been asked.
About bigger, harder, longer. Yes to all 3. For me.
Well, guys, you heard it here first. I am now a vegan.
Well, what I will say is that I needed all 3 to begin with. So, but also, I do expect the title of this show to now be bigger, harder, longer. If it's not, I'm going to be very disappointed.
Well, my original plan was to name like the episodes, the person who's on, and then topic. But I think little snippets might work better. So this one will be called Bigger, Harder, Longer.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I wonder how many people see that and think, "Oh, that's Terry."
Well, like, God, even talk about veganism. When I done the vegan, one thing I was so happy about is, thank fuck, bread's vegan. I'm a bread fiend.
Yeah.
Like, today I bought this salt and pepper bloomer from Morrison's. Probably actually isn't vegan now. You said that they put animal fat in the onion rings, but I'm going to double check that. But that was some Vitalite.
It's weird. The change it's had on me. I've mentioned the junk, so I won't mention that again. But like, I sleep better. I feel healthier. My skin did clear up. You know, these little things. That could be purely coincidence. I can't swear on oath that it was because of going vegan, but it was a very, very convenient coincidence. And look, this is where I'll be completely honest. I've been vegan for 2 years. There's been times I've caved. You know, I went from being the biggest meat eater and, not giving a crap about anything to switching overnight. And there's been the odd time I've caved and like, I need this pizza. And it's like 2 or 3 times in 2 years, and I'm justifying this as I'm saying it, it's still a good ratio. I felt like absolute crap the next day every time. And I think it's because my body's got used to this, I hate the word, but cleaner food. And then all of a sudden I put this food in it and it's like, no, we don't like this.
Yeah, I've heard stories about that before. There's It was like, I even heard like there was a person I went to college with. They said they were vegan for 6 years, and then it was through cross contamination actually that they were having a salad and it had a bit of chicken in it, and they ate it, and then they said they felt physically ill, and it's so there must be some truth to that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it affects everyone differently, but that's definitely how it affected me.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. I know I'm keeping you a bit longer, but I did say as well we wanted to talk about the highway codes, kind of wrapping it back to the kind of driving test and podcast, because I realised we went to talk about podcasts. We talked most about veganism, but that's how it goes, and it's been a very interesting conversation as well, actually. But we were talking about the highway code and stuff earlier, and obviously as a new driving instructor, you'll know best about this, I hope. So these new rules, exactly. I know the most confusion that me and my girlfriend have had is the whole pedestrian now has right of way thing. Because we've been told it's on all roads. And I'm like, does that mean if they walk out in front of me on a dual carriageway, they've got right of way? Obviously, that's a big, because it's that kind of thing. But does that mean do they have right of way on all main roads now, or is it?
Right. Those of you that obviously are listening to this podcast, you can't see the faces I'm pulling. It's because it's not fucking clear to anyone, right? I get it. I completely get people's confusion about it. For someone like me that's a driving instructor and literally studies the highway code and understands all the nuances around it, then yes, it's more clear for me. But for everyone else, it's confusing, and I hate the way it's been put out there. I hate the way it's been worded. I hate the fact that they've made this monumental change. You can hear my ranty voice now.
Yep.
They've made this monumental change to the highway code, but not bother to fucking clarify it. I genuinely despise that. So to answer your question, I'm trying not to be coachy when I say this. But if you think of it this way, if I'm driving and a pedestrian steps out in front of me, they've got right of way. I'm not allowed to run them over. That's the rule, and that's always been the rule. As soon as a pedestrian steps out on the road, as a driver, we're not allowed to run them over. That's always been the rule. Where it's changed is that when you are turning left or right into a road, if there is a pedestrian waiting at the side of the road to cross, you should stop to allow them to cross. That's the change around that. The key word, and I'm going full driving instructor mode now, the key word is should. You should stop, not must. So therefore, if there is a reason why it would be better to carry on, then you would carry on. You wouldn't stop. So it's literally assessing the situation to see if it's safe. The biggest thing that I've heard people complain about with this is that they're going to get loads of people crashing into the back of them when they're randomly stopping at all these junctions. Bullshit. If you're driving properly, you won't, because when you are driving properly, you manage the cars behind anyway. So, for example, if I'm approaching a left turn and I can't see if there's anything in that left turn because it's blocked off by a house or a parked car, I'm slowing the car down anyway. I don't know what speed, but slowing it right down. So if there is a car behind me, even if I do stop, well, it's not going to be a sudden stop because I'm slowing down anyway. So whilst I actually disagree with that rule, I think it's stupid and unnecessary. It's not as dangerous as people think it is. And I think the reason why it's people thinking it's that bad is because it's been worded and put out there really badly with minimal explanation. Just going to repeat one more time. It's literally, when you're turning left or right onto a new road or the end of one road onto another one, you should be stopping to let people cross at the junction, not when they're 15 meters down the road, but at the junction. That's the biggest thing. And then the problem comes is because half the population don't know about the changes, and because half of the population, well, maybe not half, but a lot of people disagree with it, so they just won't do it. They'll just carry on. And also because, well, two things. Firstly, the cars behind don't pay attention a lot of time, so you need to manage them anyway. But anytime you could stop, you could have someone crash into the back here because they're not paying attention or they're on the phone or whatever. But also, a lot of drivers now don't think to manage the cars behind. They're just looking at what's ahead. So they're not thinking, oh, this car's a bit close, so I'm going to slow down in advance for this junction. They don't know there's a car behind them. So they just turn and then stop, and then suddenly surprised when someone plows into the back of them.
Mm-hmm.
And no one likes it surprising when you get plowed into the back.
No, in any circumstances.
No.
No, not at all. Well, Terry, thank you so much for coming on. We've had a very, I would say a very educational talk today. Definitely about the highway code and also about veganism. We've had touched a bit on kind of the 90s and stuff, but you are coming back with Emma to talk about the 90s, which is going to be fun because it's just going to be going, yep, I know some of these things.
Yes, I'm very much looking forward to that. We have a unique, somewhat temperamental chemistry. You'll get to hear the host of Decapod, Emma Morgan, and the sidekick, myself, essentially argue and beat each other for a bit.
Nice. Like, here, that's the best. If you guys just give me my podcast for free, it's fine. But yep, everyone listening, thank you so much for listening. If you want to catch more of Terry, you can find them again, like you just said, on Decapod, 5 Minute Theory as well, the instructor, driving test tales. And if you're part of the Community for Geeks community, which I highly suggest you join, there's a lot of great stuff on there. You can find Terry doing the TCU for the Coaching for Geeks. I'm confusing myself on the words now. And of course, he does Terry Tuesdays, where he'll help you out on your own podcast as well. I'm guessing all these can be found on Spotify.
Yep, everything's on Spotify, wherever you find podcasts, all over there.
Cool. And if they want to follow you on Twitter or anything, have you got a handle for that? Or
yes, so if you want driving related stuff on Twitter, you can find me at TCDrive1. Don't go to TC Drive, because some random bloke has that and nothing to do with driving, just a random American chap. But TC Drive 1, and if you want me personally for more 90s stuff, it's at TGBCC, and no one will ever know what those initials stand for.
No, I don't. Cool. Well, yep, like I said, thank you so much for coming on. We've had a great talk. You will see Terry again on the podcast with Emma, and for you guys listening, it'll be in 2 weeks' time. So thank you so much, guys. Have a nice time. Drive safe and don't run over pedestrians, and eat vegan for a bigger dick. Have a good one, guys.